Lisa Murphy woke to the sound of explosions. The ground shook beneath her bed. She sat up fast, her heart beating hard and loud in her chest. The colony outpost was quiet most days, with only the wind moving through the metal buildings. But this was not quiet. This was death. She was 17 years old and had never known anything but this small colony on Kepler 442b. Her parents had brought her here when she was a baby. The colony was their home now. About 150 people lived here, working the mines and doing research on the planet. They were far from Earth, far from help. Lisa jumped out of bed and ran to her window. In the distance, a ship hung in the dark sky. It was not human. The shape was wrong, all sharp angles and weapons hanging from its sides like teeth. Vorn. She knew that name. The teachers at the small school had told them about the Vorn Collective. They were not peaceful. They took people and made them work until they broke. Another explosion came closer. Lisa heard screaming outside. She had to find Danny. Her little brother was in his room down the hall. She ran fast, her bare feet hitting the cold metal floor. Danny was already up, standing in his doorway with his toy spaceship in his hand. He was 10 years old and did not understand what was happening. His eyes were big with fear. "Lisa, what is that noise?" he asked. "We have to go." "Now," Lisa said. She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the back of the house. Her parents had shown her something once, something they said was important. A way to get down, a way to survive. A hidden tunnel that went into the caves below the colony. The sounds of the Vorn landing ships grew louder. Lisa could hear them now, their weapons making sounds like thunder that never stopped. She could hear shooting and more screaming. People were dying. Lots of people. The tunnel entrance was under the storage room in their house. Lisa moved heavy boxes away, her hands shaking but her mind staying calm. There it was, a metal hatch with a red symbol on it that meant emergency exit. She opened it and looked down. Darkness. A ladder went down into nothing. "Danny, we're going down. Hold on to the ladder and do not let go. Do not look down. Just climb." "Can you do that?" Lisa asked. Danny nodded. He was scared, but he was also brave. He was her little brother, and she would keep him safe. That was all that mattered now. They climbed down, down, down. The ladder seemed to go forever. Lisa's arms hurt. Behind them, the house started to shake. The Vorn were doing something. Burning it maybe. Destroying it. Danny's foot slipped on one of the rungs. Lisa grabbed his belt and held him tight until he got his footing again. "Keep going," she told him. "You are doing good." Finally, their feet hit the ground. They were in a cave. The air was cold and wet. There was light coming from somewhere, maybe from the opening they had come through, maybe from somewhere else. Lisa could see the rough stone walls all around them. She closed the hatch above them. It made a click sound. Above, in the house, everything was burning or being taken apart. Down here, they were safe for now. Lisa took Danny's hand again. "We are going to go deeper. Stay close to me. Do not make any noise." "Can you do that?" "Yes," Danny whispered. They walked into the cave. Lisa knew these caves a little bit. She and some other kids had explored them once when the teachers were not looking. The caves went deep into the ground, past the colony outpost, far away from where the Vorn were landing their ships. Behind them, they heard sounds. The soldiers were coming. They were looking for people. Looking for slaves to take and make work for the Vorn Empire. Lisa pulled Danny faster. They had to get deeper. The caves had many tunnels. If they went deep enough, if they went far enough, the soldiers might not find them, might not catch them. "Lisa, I am scared," Danny said. "I know," Lisa told him. "But I am here. I am not going to let anything happen to you. Nothing." She meant it. She would die before she let the Vorn take her little brother. She would die before she let them make him into a slave. She was just a girl. She had never fought anything bigger than her own fear. But that was changing now. Everything was changing. They reached a point where the tunnel split in 3 directions. Lisa chose the one that went down, deeper into the earth. The sounds of the Vorn soldiers were closer now. She could hear their heavy footsteps and the beeping of their machines. Thermal scanners. She remembered the word from school. They used heat to find people in the dark. Lisa started to think. That was when her mind worked best, when things were bad and she had to figure out how to survive. The caves had mineral deposits. She had read that somewhere. Minerals that blocked certain kinds of scans. She had to find them. She had to get Danny to a place where those machines would not work. "Come on," she said, and pulled her little brother deeper into the darkness of the caves beneath their home. Behind them, the soldiers came down the ladder. Their suits had lights. Their weapons were ready. They were looking for humans who were scared and weak and alone. They did not know that Lisa Murphy had learned something very important in the last few minutes. Being scared did not mean you were weak. Being alone did not mean you could not fight. You just had to refuse to give up. You just had to keep moving forward. Lisa and Danny moved deeper into the dark. The caves went on forever, and the colony outpost was burning above them. The Vorn had come to take slaves and kill the weak. But Lisa was not ready to be weak. She was not ready to quit. She would protect Danny. She would survive. And she would make sure that the Vorn learned that humans were not as easy to break as they thought. The cave tunnel seemed to go on without end. Lisa held Danny's hand tight as they moved through the darkness. The light from the Vorn soldiers' suits was far behind them now, but Lisa could still hear the sounds of their footsteps echoing through the stone. They had to keep moving. Stopping meant getting caught. The tunnel opened into a large chamber. Lisa stopped and looked around. She had been here before with the other kids. There was an underground lake in this chamber, and the water was cold and clean. But it was also dangerous. The lake was deep. She did not know how deep. "We are going to rest here for a few moments," Lisa whispered to Danny. "But we have to be very quiet. Can you hear them?" Danny listened. In the distance, the sounds of the Vorn soldiers moving through the tunnels could still be heard. They were not giving up. They were searching every tunnel, following every path. "Why do they want us?" Danny asked. His voice was small and frightened. "Because we are humans," Lisa said. "And they think humans are weak. They think they can take us and make us work for them. But we are not going to let that happen." She was not sure if she believed what she was saying. The Vorn soldiers had weapons that could burn through rock. They had machines that could see heat. They had armor that could stop bullets. What did she have? She had the dark. She had these caves. She had her mind. Lisa moved to the edge of the lake and knelt down. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a piece of mineral she had grabbed from the cave wall as they ran. It was a dark purple color, and it was heavy. She had remembered something from a science class. Certain minerals could block certain kinds of scans. The Vorn used thermal imaging to find people. But if she could find a place where these minerals were thick, the machines might not work. "Danny, we need to find the mineral deposits. The thick ones. Do you understand?" Danny shook his head, but he trusted his sister. He would follow her anywhere. They started moving again, but this time Lisa was looking at the walls of the cave. She was looking for the dark purple mineral. And there it was, in one section of the wall, a thick layer of it, almost black in the darkness. "This way," she said. The tunnel twisted and turned. The sounds of the soldiers were getting louder. They were coming closer. Lisa could hear the beeping of their thermal scanners now, the clicking sounds their armor made when they moved. Then she saw light coming from around a corner. The soldiers were very close now. Lisa grabbed Danny and pulled him into a small opening in the cave wall. It was barely big enough for both of them. They squeezed in, and Lisa held Danny against her chest. She covered his mouth gently with her hand. Around the corner, 3 Vorn soldiers came into view. They were huge, almost 3 meters tall. Their suits were thick and covered with weapons. Their heads had sharp features and cold eyes. They moved with the confidence of hunters who expected their prey to be slow and stupid. One of them stopped. Lisa's heart almost stopped beating. He was looking right at the opening where they were hiding. The thermal scanner on his suit was beeping. Could he see them? The soldier took a step toward them. Then another. Lisa's mind worked fast. She did not have a weapon. She did not have anything except her knowledge of these caves and her need to keep Danny alive. She looked around the small space. There were loose rocks on the floor. Rocks that had fallen from the ceiling long ago. She grabbed one in her free hand. It was about the size of her fist, and it was heavy. The Vorn soldier was 2 meters away now. Lisa threw the rock as hard as she could. It flew past the opening and hit the cave wall on the other side. The sound was loud in the quiet cave. All 3 soldiers spun around. They raised their weapons and moved toward the sound. The one who had been approaching their hiding place went with them. Lisa did not wait. She pulled Danny out of the opening and ran in the opposite direction. The tunnel went up and to the side. They had to keep moving. They had to find the thick mineral deposits. They had to find safety. Behind them, the soldiers figured out the trick. They would be angry now. They would be hunting harder. Lisa's lungs burned as she ran. Danny was having trouble keeping up, but she did not slow down. She could not. If they caught them, everything was over. The tunnel opened again, and Lisa saw something that made her heart jump. A small building. It was old and covered in dust, but it was made of human metal and human design. It was a supply cache. The colony had hidden emergency supplies in the caves long ago, just in case something bad happened. She ran to the door and pulled it open. Inside, there were boxes stacked on shelves. Water bottles, food, a flashlight, and something else. A communication device. It was old and cracked, but it might still work. "In here," she said to Danny, and they went inside. She closed the door and locked it from the inside. The supplies gave them hope. The water bottles meant they could survive longer. The food meant Danny would not starve. But most important was the communication device. Lisa took it in her hands and turned it on. A small green light came on. It was working. She could send a signal. She could call for help. Her hands shook as she pressed the buttons. The device made a small sound as it tried to find a signal. "Come on," she thought. "Come on, come on." A voice came through. A human voice. "Emergency frequency. Please state your location and situation." Lisa almost cried. "This is Lisa Murphy at the colony outpost on Kepler 442b. We are under attack by Vorn forces. The colony is being destroyed. I have my little brother. We need help. Please help us." There was silence. Then the voice came back, but now it was different. The voice was sad. "We are too far away. The nearest human ship will take 6 days to reach you. But we are sending your signal. Everyone will know what is happening. You need to survive until help comes. Do you understand?" Lisa looked at Danny. He was drinking water and eating some of the food from the cache. He looked at her with hope in his eyes because she had found safety. "Yes," she said into the communication device. "We will survive." Behind them, outside the supply cache, she could hear the soldiers moving through the caves. The thermal scanners were beeping. They were looking. They were hunting. But Lisa would not give up. She had water. She had food. She had a way to let others know she was alive. And she had Danny to protect. She turned off the communication device and sat with her little brother in the dark. Outside, the hunt continued. But inside, they were still free. 3 days in the caves. Lisa had lost count of how many times the Vorn soldiers came close to finding them. But each time, she found a way to trick them, to lead them away, to stay hidden. The supply cache was almost empty now. Water was running low. Food would not last much longer. But they were still alive. That was what mattered. Lisa looked at the map of the cave system she had found in the cache. There was another settlement marked on it, about 3 days of walking away through the mountains above ground. The old mining colony. It was abandoned, but it had supplies. More importantly, it had a communication array, a stronger signal, a way to call for help that would reach farther than the broken device in this cache. They had to leave the caves. They had to reach that colony. "Come on, Danny," Lisa said. "We are going up now. We are leaving the caves." Danny was tired. He was hungry and scared and tired. But he trusted his sister. He always trusted her. They packed what was left of the supplies and started moving through the tunnels toward the surface. Lisa knew the way. She had studied the map carefully. She had memorized every tunnel, every turn, every dead end dot above them. Outside the caves, the sun was starting to set. The colony outpost was gone now, just burned metal and ash. The Vorn ship was still in orbit, waiting for the soldiers to finish their hunt and return with captives. Lisa and Danny emerged from a cave opening on the side of a mountain. The air was cold and dry. Around them were rocky cliffs and strange plants that grew in the soil of Kepler-4 42b. In the distance, they could see more mountains and a forest of tall trees with purple leaves. They had to move fast. The thermal scanners would still work out here. The Vorn soldiers would still be hunting. Lisa led Danny down the mountain, moving fast but careful not to make noise. They had to follow the ridge that would lead them toward the old mining colony. It would take 3 days, maybe 4 if they had to hide or rest. That night, they slept in a small cave they found on the mountainside. Lisa kept watch while Danny slept. She was good at staying awake. Fear was keeping her awake now, and her need to protect her little brother. The next day, something changed. As they walked through a rocky area near a small stream, Lisa heard a sound. It was not the Vorn soldiers. It was something else. An animal. A big one. Danny grabbed her hand. "Lisa, what is that?" The creature came out from behind the rocks. It was large and covered in thick fur. It had teeth and claws and eyes that looked angry. Lisa had learned about these creatures in school. They were called Krell predators. They lived on Kepler-4 42b and they killed things for food. Lisa's first thought was to run. But then she stopped running. She stopped and thought instead. The Krell was looking at them, but it was also looking past them. Lisa turned around. Behind them, through the trees, she could see the heat signatures of Vorn soldiers. They were close. Very close. An idea came to Lisa. It was dangerous and crazy, but it was better than running and getting caught. She picked up a rock and threw it at the Krell. The creature roared and turned away from her. It moved toward the sound and the movement of the Vorn soldiers coming through the trees. What happened next was quick and brutal. The Krell attacked the soldiers. Its claws and teeth were powerful, and the soldiers were surprised. They'd been trained to hunt humans, not to fight native creatures. Lisa grabbed Danny and ran. They ran as fast as they could, while the Krell and the soldiers fought behind them. The sounds of weapons and animal screams filled the mountain air. They did not stop running until they could not hear the fighting anymore. When they finally stopped to rest, Lisa was shaking. Not from fear, but from something else. For the first time, she had not run from the danger. She had thought about it. She had used it. She had made the Vorn soldiers' own pride and training work against them. Danny looked at his sister with new eyes. "You are smart," he said. "I am surviving," Lisa said. "That is all." Gee. But it was more than that, and she knew it. She was changing. She was not the scared teenager who had run into the caves 3 days ago. She was becoming something else. Something harder. Something that could fight back. They continued their journey. Each day, they moved closer to the old mining colony. Each day, Lisa learned more about the landscape and how to use it. She learned where the Krell hunted and where they would not go. She learned which plants were safe to eat. She learned how to move silently through the forest. And each time the Vorn soldiers came close, Lisa found a way to make the land itself fight for her. She caused rock slides by loosening stones. She led creatures toward the soldiers. She used the weather and the terrain to slow them down and confuse their scanners. On the 4th day, they saw the mining colony. It was built into the side of a mountain, with metal buildings and wide tunnels going deep into the rock. It was quiet and empty, but it was there. More importantly, there were other people. As Lisa and Danny approached, 3 humans came out of the colony entrance. They were colonists who had escaped the outpost attack and had been hiding here, just like Lisa and Danny had been hiding in the caves. "We are alive," one of them said. Her name was Karen, and she had been a teacher at the colony school. "We thought everyone was dead." "Not everyone," Lisa said. She looked back at the mountains behind them, where the Vorn soldiers were still hunting. "But more are coming, and we have to stop them." Karen looked at this girl, a 17-year-old who had walked through the mountains with a 10-year-old in tow, who had faced Vorn soldiers and lived. This girl looked like a survivor. This girl looked like she was ready for a war. "Tell us what you need," Karen said. Lisa walked past her toward the communication array on the roof of the old colony. "We need to call for help, and we need to get ready, because the Vorn are not going to stop hunting us. But maybe we can stop hunting them first." She was not scared anymore. Fear had been replaced by something stronger. Determination. Purpose. A reason to fight that was bigger than her own survival. The Vorn had come to take slaves. But what they had found was a girl who would not let that happen. And now they would learn the price of underestimating humans. The mining colony became a fortress. Lisa and the other survivors worked fast, using the old security systems and the knowledge of the structure that Karen and the other workers had learned over years of working here. There were 6 survivors now. Karen, the teacher. Paulo, who had worked in the mines and knew every tunnel and weak point in the rock. Michael and David, 2 engineers who understood the building systems. And Lisa and Danny, 6 humans against an army that was now landing ships on all sides of the colony. Lisa stood on the roof, looking at the sky. More Vorn ships were coming. She could see them descending through the atmosphere. Her hands were steady, but her mind was moving fast. Very fast. She had hours, maybe less, before the Vorn surrounded them completely. "How many soldiers?" she asked Paulo. "From what we have seen, at least 30 Vorn. Maybe more when the new ships land," he said. "We cannot fight that many." "We do not have to fight them," Lisa said. "We have to hold them. For 18 hours. The human fleet is coming. They will be here in 18 hours. The communication signal had finally reached a human settlement on the other side of the galaxy. They had sent a fleet. It would take a long time to get here, but it was coming. They just had to survive long enough. "How do we hold 30 soldiers?" Michael asked. Lisa pointed down into the mining tunnels below them. "We know this place better than they do. We know every tunnel, every exit, every weak point. They know nothing. They will be blind in the dark." For the next 6 hours, they prepared. Michael and David worked on the old security systems, getting them to function again. The automated doors and blast barriers that had been sealed off for years started to wake up. Paulo marked the weak points in the tunnels, places where they could cause cave-ins and block passages. Lisa and Karen created a system of traps. Loose rocks that would fall if touched. Water channels that could be opened to flood tunnels. Fire barriers that could be triggered with an old electrical system. Danny, even at 10 years old, was given a job. He operated one of the old emergency beacon lights, flashing it on and off from inside the communications room. If they could not call out loud anymore, they could at least signal. And the signal would help the human fleet find them. When night came, the Voron attacked. The soldiers came in waves, moving through the main entrance and into the tunnels. Their weapons were powerful, their armor was strong, and they were trained killers. But they had never fought enemies who knew the ground beneath their feet better than they knew their own weapons. The first wave of soldiers walked into a tunnel where Paulo had loosened rocks. When they passed a certain point, Lisa triggered the collapse from a control room above. The rocks fell like thunder, and the soldiers were forced to retreat. The second wave came through a different entrance. Michael had opened the water channels. The tunnel flooded, and the soldiers had to turn back, their heavy armor making them sink too fast. But the Voron learned quickly. They changed their tactics. They used explosives to open new passages. They moved faster. They were hitting harder. Lisa was in the main control room now, with Karen monitoring the communications and trying to send more signals to the incoming fleet. Michael was managing the security systems. Paulo was moving through the tunnels, setting up new traps and blocking passages. Then the Voron commander came. Lord Vex was different from the other soldiers. He was older, marked with scars from many battles. His armor was heavier and covered in weapons. He moved with the confidence of a warrior who had never lost a fight. He came through a tunnel that Lisa had not expected. He was heading directly for the communications room where Danny was operating the emergency beacon. "Danny, move!" Lisa shouted through the speakers. Danny ran. He was fast and small, and he knew these tunnels now. He ran through passages designed for humans, too narrow and too low for a Voron soldier. Lord Vex followed, his armor scraping against the rock walls. Lisa ran to cut him off. She had to protect Danny. That was everything. That was why she had survived this long. She met Lord Vex in a large chamber. He was huge, his weapon raised and ready to fire. She was small, 17 years old, with nothing but her knowledge of the environment and her will to survive. "You are the human girl," he said. His voice was deep and cold. "The one who caused us so much trouble. I am impressed. But this ends now." He fired at her. His weapon sent a blast of energy toward her. Lisa rolled to the side, and the blast hit the rock wall behind her, leaving a smoking hole. She ran, not away from him, but toward the chamber where the rock ceiling was weak. She had seen it this morning. She had noted it. She had planned for this. Lord Vex followed her. He was faster than he looked, and his armor protected him from most things. But he did not know this place. Lisa did. She reached the chamber and turned to face him. Above them, the ceiling was cracked and ready to fall. "You are going to kill me?" Lord Vex asked. There was almost amusement in his voice. "No," Lisa said. "But you are going to get out of my way, or I will bring this whole place down on both of us." She had a stick in her hand, a stick connected to an old support that was holding up tons of rock. She was ready to pull it. For a moment, Lord Vex stared at her. He was a soldier. He fought in wars across the galaxy. He had never been stopped by a human. And now a girl with a stick was threatening him. The other survivors ran in. Paulo with a weapon. Karen with a heavy pipe. Michael and David with tools and rocks. Danny was behind them. They stood together, blocking Lord Vex from moving forward. 1 soldier against 6 humans who had nothing to lose. Lord Vex lowered his weapon. He turned and walked back down the tunnel. He did not run. He did not show fear. But he left Dot above them in the communications room. Danny sent the emergency signal again and again. His young hands moved fast, flashing the light toward the sky. And in the darkness above the planet, the human fleet saw the signal. They were close now. Very close. The Vorn soldiers outside stopped their assault. Messages were being sent from their command ship. New orders. Retreat, maybe. Oh, wait. The humans were coming. The Vorn knew now that they could not take this place. Lisa stood in the chamber with her people. Her little brother. The survivors. The friends. They had held. They had fought. They had refused to break Dot in a few hours, maybe less. The human fleet would arrive. The Vorn would have to retreat. They would have to leave Kepler 442b, leave the colony, leave Lisa and Danny and the others alone. But that was not the real victory. The real victory was that they had survived. They had fought. They had shown that humans were not the weak, easy prey that the Vorn had believed. They were stronger than that. They were smarter than that. They were willing to die for each other, and that made them dangerous. "We are going to make it," Lisa said to Danny. He smiled and hugged his sister. "I knew we would," he said, "because you were here." The Vorn commander gave them an ultimatum through a communication channel. His voice was cold and hard, like metal in winter. "Surrender all humans for collection. We will not destroy the colony if you comply. Resist, and we will burn you from orbit. You have 1 hour to decide." Lisa was in the communications room when she heard it. She looked at the others. Karen, Paulo, Michael, David, Danny. They were all looking at her now, waiting to see what she would say. Dot. She had never been a leader before. She was just a girl from Earth who had come to a colony on a distant planet. But circumstances had made her more than that. Survival had made her more than that. "We are not surrendering," Lisa said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "We are human. We do not give up. We do not abandon each other. And we do not bow to anyone." She moved to the communication transmitter. She did something that was very dangerous. She broadcast to all the Vorn soldiers on the ground. She sent her voice out through the airwaves to every unit, every soldier, every one of them. "I am Lisa Murphy. I am human. And I want to tell you something about my people. You came here to take slaves because you thought we were weak. But I am still here. My brother is still here. These people are still here. We have fought your soldiers. We have survived your hunt. And we are still standing. I am just one girl. I was 17 years old when you arrived. I had never been in a real fight before. But I have learned something. Humans do not break easily. We do not surrender when things are hard. We do not give up when the enemy is stronger. We fight. We help each other. We die for each other if we have to. And we never, ever accept defeat. Your soldiers have learned this too. And now you are going to learn it. Because help is coming. The human fleet is in orbit right now. And you can either leave this world or you can fight. But if you fight, you will lose. Because that is what humans do. We lose battles. We lose soldiers. We lose everything. But we never lose our will to survive. And that is stronger than any weapon you have. She turned off the transmitter. For a moment, there was silence. Then Paulo touched her shoulder. "That was very brave," he said. "That was necessary," Lisa said. Outside, the Vorn soldiers were receiving messages from their command ship. In orbit, Lord Vex was communicating with his superiors. This attack was not going as planned. The humans were not supposed to be like this. They were not supposed to fight back. They were not supposed to have courage. But they did. The Vorn launched their final assault. All soldiers, all weapons, everything they had. They came at the mining colony from every direction at once. It was overwhelming. It was terrible. It was brutal, but the humans were ready. Explosions filled the tunnels. Rock and fire and death. The automated defense systems of the colony fired, hitting soldiers, blocking passages, slowing the advance. Paulo fought with weapons he had collected. Michael and David sealed doors, closing off tunnels, forcing the Vorn to find new routes. Karen treated the wounded and kept people moving. Danny kept the emergency signal going, flashing it toward the sky where the human fleet was racing to reach them. And Lisa moved through the tunnels, making decisions, directing people, keeping them alive. She was not afraid anymore. Fear had been replaced by action, by purpose, by duty. Lord Vex came looking for her again. He was angry now. His perfect record of conquest had been challenged by a child. His pride was wounded. They fought in a wide tunnel near the center of the colony. His weapon was far more powerful than anything she had. His strength was far greater. His experience was far deeper. But Lisa had something else. She had the need to survive. She had the need to protect those around her. She had the need to prove that humans were not the weak creatures he believed. She used the tunnels. She used the terrain. She moved in ways that his heavy armor could not follow. She was smart and fast and willing to take risks that he would never take. In the end, when Lord Vex had Lisa against the wall and was ready to finish her, the other survivors came. They came together as one group. They came to save her because she had saved them. And that was when the human fleet arrived. The sky lit up with explosions. The Vorn command ship had been hit. The Vorn soldiers on the ground received orders to retreat. They were losing. They had to leave. Lord Vex looked at Lisa one more time. There was something in his eyes now. Respect, maybe, or fear. Then he turned and ran with his soldiers back to their ships. The mining colony was filled with human voices. Soldiers in armor, but human armor. Human faces. People who had come to save them. Lisa stood in the sunlight, on the roof of the mining colony, with Danny beside her. Around them, the last of the Vorn ships were leaving the atmosphere, moving away from Kepler-442b. They had won. They had actually won. A commander from the human fleet approached them. She was older, with a serious face. "You are Lisa Murphy," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Lisa said. "You have saved your people. You have shown us that humans can stand against the Vorn. The whole galaxy is going to know what happened here. They are going to know that humans fight back. That we do not surrender. That we are stronger than anyone believed." Lisa did not feel strong. She felt tired. She felt sad for all the people who had died. She felt the weight of what she had been through, but she also felt something else. She felt the pride of having survived, of having protected her little brother, of having helped her people. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you go home," the commander said. "Now you rest. Now you live the life that you fought so hard to keep." Lisa looked at the mountains of Kepler-442b. She looked at the colony that was destroyed. She looked at Danny, who was holding her hand and smiling. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of red and orange and yellow. It was beautiful. It was peaceful. It was home. Lisa thought about how her life had changed in just a few days. She had been a normal girl with normal problems. School and friends and the usual challenges of being 17 years old. Now she was known across the galaxy. Not as a fighter, not as a warrior, but as a girl who had refused to give up. As a human who had stood against an alien army and won. The Vorn Collective had learned something important. They had learned that humans were not weak. They had learned that humans would fight for each other. They had learned that even one girl with nothing but her will to survive, could change everything. Lisa knew something important too. She knew that she was stronger than she ever thought possible. That ordinary humans could do extraordinary things when they had to. That courage was not about being fearless. It was about acting even when you were afraid. She took Danny's hand and started walking toward the human base that was being set up on the colony grounds. There was a long road ahead. Recovery would take time. Rebuilding would take time. But she knew, deep in her heart, that they would make it. They were human. And humans never gave up. Behind her, the sun set over the mountains of Kepler 442b. Ahead, her future waited. And somewhere in the galaxy, the story of Lisa Murphy, the girl who fought the Vorn and won, was beginning to spread through human space like a light burning away the darkness. One girl had changed everything, and the galaxy would never be the same.